Hi, guys. Happy Halloween. Or if you're watching this on Monday morning, I hope you had a great Halloween. I want to go real slow through a nested for loop, two dimensional array, just in case you're struggling with it. Our program that I assign on Monday is going to be using these. The program I wrote on Friday, I wrote to look professional to show you how a program like that works. Most of you worked your way through it. This one, I want to show you what I would write for my code for um, a program that I was writing to turn into a college professor. I stick with the same basic formats, and I think the way I look at this is at the simplest. Pretty much, I always try to look at things at the simplest, not try to be too fancy. This is how my program would look if I was going to turn it in. So let's walk through this kind of slow. I've got the basic start, IO stream and IO manip, and I don't even need this IO manip. I'm gonna get rid of it. I wanted to go bare bones on this program. Let's see, I did need IO manip because I'm going to be using set width. All right, starting inside of main now. I made constant int rows. I always call it rows because it helps me from being confused. You can name it like the program I did that was like divisions and sales and stuff like that. But even when I'm writing a fancier program, I usually use rows and calls because it helps me look deeper into what the program, and I don't make as many mistakes. So the reason I make them const is because I don't want the program changing it. And if I want to change this program, which is another multiplication table, actually an improved multiplication table over what we've done, I can change this. This is going to be a 3 by 4. I can change this to 10 by 10, 100 by 100. It's just a one change. That might have been the way it was in our other program, but this is just good programming to write it like this. All right, now I'm declaring my array. It's an integer array. The proper way to write this is my array. And inside there, I'm just going to put rows and calls. Okay, that makes a 3 by 4 matrix. Up here, you always have to declare the size, either one of two ways, like I'm doing it now, or with the curly brackets where you put, the all the curly brackets and the numbers or names, whatever. If you make it strings, you have to declare the size of an array up front. Okay, the program expects a certain size. You have to stay within those bounds. A computer, I think I showed you in one of our early programs that you can go out of bounds and you don't know where that data is going in memory. But you have to, as a programmer, you have to declare the size and stay within those boundaries. So this one, rows, calls, I'm making this my array equals 3 by 4. Over here, we're going to trace through it. Over here in green in the highlight, what I did is I went ahead and made a matrix, and we're going to fill this in as I walk through it. All right. Like I mentioned the other day, this is the shell. These two for loops are always standard. Probably in 90% of my programs, this is the exact same letters, the exact same variables that I use in every nested for loop. Right? This line inside the inner for loop is the working line. What this does is these two nested for loops allow you to walk through every element in a two-dimensional array. And this is what happens, this line, this working line, is what happens inside that element. All right, let's walk through this. Int I equals 0, less than rows. Int j equals 0. So when we get down to this working part here, this first time through, okay, I is going to equal 0, j is going to equal 0. So we're going to put this in the 0, 0 upper left-hand element. So let's see what we're going to do here. 0 plus 1 times 0 plus 1 is going to be 1 times 1. We're going to put it in 0, 0. So let's go up here and put 1 in there. All right. We're still working on this inner loop because j now after it increments is going to be 1. So it won't release it until j gets up to the number of columns. So we're just going to be working on this row right here. All right. I, for this whole inner for loop, I is going to equal 0 because we don't release out to the outer for loop. So it's just going to say 0. And then we're going to work through the j's. J equals 0, j equals 1, j equals 2. That's all it goes in this program. J equals 0, 1, 2, 3 in this program. All right. So the next time through, right, I equals 0. J's been incremented, so it's 1. So over here, 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 times 2 equals 2. Still working on this for loop. Now I equals 0, j equals 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. We're going to put this in this element. And you all can follow the pattern. It equals 4. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 4. All right. Now we've worked all through this inner loop. It's going to release out the outer loop, which increments. Now I equals 1. While I equals 1, we're going to work on filling this whole row here. We're going to do the same thing. If we go through and do the math, this equals 2, this equals 4, this equals 6, this equals 8. Right? That was the work done by this. Right? We release to the outer loop. We increment. I now equals 2. All right. So we move up to the next row. This equals 3, 6, 8, 12. Now we finished off both for loops. Inner for loop does the row until it's done, then it releases, and the outer for loop increments, then you do the next row and the next row. Take a look at that. Don't let this confuse you. The big thing to know is to know how to enter into this, because this will change with programs. This will remain constant because you're visiting every element in the program. All right, so now all this nested for loop did is entered it into the array. We want to print it out. There's only one thing specific that you have to remember about printing out a two-dimensional array, especially if you want it to look like a matrix, is that after each row, which is basically printing out the inner for loop, all right, you work through each column, but you fill a row, you want to print out an indel. So so it looks like a regular matrix. So that's all I've did in this. I've used, look how similar to this is. For a second nested for loop, I've just kind of went up in letters. Up here I used I and J, which I really have no idea why that's all. Computer programmers use I and J. But if they use a second set of two-dimensional arrays, they'll go to K and L, then M and N. Like I said, I can't explain why. But all I do, and this is the working line in this one, it visits every cell, and it's going to print it out with the set width of 4, and it's going to print out 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and then it's going to kick out and then go to the next row and do all of those. So that's our program. All right, I'm going to run it now, and it should look like what I've got right here. Okay, so it did. It matched. Um, got 1 up in the upper corner, 12 down in the lower right-hand corner. So it matched. Take a look at this code. I would take a good hard look at this and maybe make some notes. If you understand this and have these notes, you'll always be able to write a program with a two-dimensional array and a nested for loop. All right, hopefully this video wasn't too long. I just wanted to give you something solid. Another good idea, honestly, if you've got the time and are inclined, would be just to type this program in and have this for a reference for any quiz or test. All right, guys, I'll see you on Monday. Like I said, I hope you have a great holiday.